Hello, magical people of the internet. I'm Jen, and welcome to my vlog, I Never Thought I Would, where we talk about doing things we never thought we would do and the fantastic places that they can lead us. I have a fabulous guest today. He is an author and a professor of project supply chain management at Penn State. Did I say that right, Justin?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. The Penn State University, though. The Penn State.
The Penn State. Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Justin, for coming on today. It's Justin Goldston and
Yes.
PhD.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, okay. I'm sure in your travels through academia, through your charity work, through everything you've accomplished, that you've done maybe one or two things you never thought you would do.
hmm hmm
So why don't you share one with us today and let us know where it led you?
I would say, I would say the biggest one was to not only do one TEDx talk. I did five in 2019, and
Wow.
and that essentially spawned from something else I never thought I would do was teach.
Mhm.
This I did not have I did not have an aspiration to teach within higher education, but I was in a graduate program at Penn State, and one of our earlier professors came into one of our rooms and said, "You're a supply chain guy, right? You're a supply chain consultant guy, right?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you think about coming to speak to our capstone class about opportunities within supply chain management?" So I came in and guest lectured, caught the teaching bug, and then that led to guest lectures at Rutgers, and then I was guest lecturing at Morgan State University, which is a historically Black college and university. I also went to a HBCU, and with each one of these institutions, I always would ask the students what they're going to do with their degree,
Mhm.
and at Penn State, a lot of answers. At Rutgers, a lot of answers. At Morgan State, there was crickets, So to me, I felt that, you know, I had to pay it forward. I had mentors in my career, and I felt that getting into higher education would allow me to reflect back on my successes, reflect back on my experiences, and to prepare those students for the future. So here I am, and I'm learning. I'm loving every minute of it. But what led me to these TEDx talks was that a student asked me. He said, "I seen this one article on how blockchain is going to disrupt the supply chain industry, and I've been in the cryptocurrency markets for a number of years, but I knew about blockchain, but not to the extent of having it transferable to the supply chain industry. So I began to do some research, and I said, we have something here, you know. So I began to, reach out to my peers, and they said it was going to be a fad and all these other things. And then five TEDx talks later, bless
Excuse
you.
me. Thank
Yeah,
you. Sorry about that.
five TEDx talks later, I'm developing blockchain courses, for graduate programs in a number of different institutions. I'm developing a blockchain solution for positive impact, to hopefully change the world. And, again, that all came from things you never thought would happen.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because some of us don't necessarily understand what you mean by blockchain. So, can you take a few minutes to explain in layman's terms what that is?
So blockchain is, you'll hear it referred to as a distributed ledger, but you can just think of it as nodes, or as laptops, or people that have to reach a consensus to ensure that a transaction is indeed valid. So if,
Got
if
it.
I'm a if I'm a node, if you're a node, if all your neighbors are nodes, we're all decentralized. We're not in the same place, right?
Mhm.
So if I issue a transaction, so let's say I issue a contract for $100,000.
Mhm.
Now now your neighbors have to say, okay, yep, that's correct, that's correct, that's correct. My neighbors have to say that's correct, that's correct, that's correct. And then only whenever all of these people confirm that these are correct, then it gets written to the blockchain, but everyone can see it.
Okay.
right? So it's transparent. So now that ensures the authenticity of certain products in a supply chain, for example, that ensures the validity of certain things, that ensures the agreement to say, okay, they agreed to this contract. So if there's a problem, it's right there on the blockchain for everyone to see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's very important to the supply chain industry, because a lot of people don't trust each other, and also, there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of unethical practices, and now it's transparent. So now we can confirm that we're doing what we say we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That was definitely helpful. Um, so now I want to go back to the TEDx talks. What was it like to do 5? To do one TEDx talk is a really big deal. So you've done 5 of them, and what has that done for you? Like, because being a professor, you're up in front of people speaking all the time. That's not new. But I would imagine how a TEDx stage is like another kind of level
Yes.
of success. And then has the TEDx world, I know this is like a 3-part question,
Mhm.
has the TEDx world opened up any opportunities to you that were not necessarily available prior?
I would say that before this whole TEDx, this I call it the magical mystery TEDx tour, to play off the
Yes.
Beatles. But before that, I was an absolutely terrible speaker, right? But you were forced to be a great speaker, because you're going on that stage. And I would say that most importantly, up until the point that I stepped on the stage, I was changing my speech. I
Mm-hmm.
was changing my icebreaker. So that essentially helped me in my teaching, in that, stop doing scripted lectures. Like, just hit the bullets, and just wherever it goes is where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the students absolutely love it. I would say, like, on podcasts, I always say, hit the play button and let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hear I don't want any questions. Let's just have a free flowing conversation, because that's how I like to listen to podcasts. Right. So that's helped me personally, and that's actually allowed me to speak at a lot of international conferences around the world. Those individuals have seen my TEDx talks, and I've spoken at I did a keynote at a conference in Singapore. I did a closing keynote at a conference in South Africa. I've spoken in China, in Germany, at a number of different conferences. That's been a positive impact of the pandemic, because we're bringing in the world's top minds in the supply chain industry. And
Mm-hmm.
people whose textbooks I read, people who I referenced in my books, in my dissertation. I'm speaking at conferences with these people. I just did a conference yesterday with Gary Vee. And I idolize that guy, and I'm like, my mind's blown. But
Definitely.
it's those type of opportunities that have arisen from this, because I don't think that I would be given these opportunities without those TEDx events. But
Mm-hmm.
my key, I would say, my suggestion is, just do it. Just apply for those applications. I was just applying for all those applications just so I can get one.
Mm-hmm.
I got 5. I was just trying to get one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And
really an incredible
you know,
accomplishment.
yeah, and because of the people that I reached out to, I'm actually an organizer for a TEDx event at Penn State. So I have, so we were actually supposed to do it in March. We had to move it because of the pandemic to the fall of next year. But I have the first African American student body president from MIT, first African American student body president from Yale. I have 2 students from Columbia. I have a partner from IBM coming to speak, and a lot of other amazing people. So it's like, my vision was that those people who didn't think that these types of things were possible, they can see this event and say, wow, not only can I not go to MIT, I can be the student body president at MIT.
Yes.
Not only can I not go to IBM, I can be a partner at IBM.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my vision, and that's how I was trying to handpick those figures.
So you do have a scholarship foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that for us for a little bit?
Yeah, so it's called the Sydney Goldston Scholarship Foundation. You can probably hear my daughter. You can probably hear her right now, but she's 9 months old. And I just developed that. I developed that scholarship so that she can learn up. She can grow up learning how to give.
Mm-hmm.
Like she knows no other way.
Yeah.
So all the proceeds from my first book goes to the Sydney Goldston Scholarship Foundation. We're actually sponsoring a celebration of scholarship contest we're holding at Penn State next month. So we're actually going to be giving out awards for first, second, and third place for that award, for the celebration of scholarship award at Penn State. So again, it's all about giving. I always say that nobody's gonna say how much money Justin made when he's gone. People are going to say, man, he impacted a lot of people. And that's why it may sound cliche, but we're trying to change the world.
Yes.
And if you have that mindset, you're gonna make a pretty darn good dent.
Exactly.
So
And I think education really is the key. And especially now that everything's available online, a lot of young people don't think that they need to continue their education. They don't think they need to learn math because they have a calculator right on their phone, certain things like that, but there's something to be said for having a solid education, because what a lot of kids don't realize is that an education teaches you how to think, teaches you how to learn. And we constantly need to be learning as we go through our lives, regardless of how old we are, what job we're doing. Chances are you're going to switch jobs at one point in your life.
Our careers, like I did.
Switch jobs, switch careers, and we're going to have to relearn how to do a job, or relearn or learn for the first time certain skills to keep up. I have to build my own websites. I have to be in charge of my own social media. There are so many skills we need to keep adapting, especially with technology moving at the rate that it is.
Yes.
If we don't know how to learn, we're never going to be able to keep up.
I do a lot of research with artificial intelligence, and even I'm somewhat terrified of what this thing can do, because I can see what I kind of have like the ground level of what is being developed at these universities. And we as humans are going to write the next chapter. It's like, how far are we going to allow this to go? That's where artificial intelligence is right now.
Yeah.
It's up to us, because it's been proven that machines can learn on their own. And again, it's like, how are we going to rein this thing in? And that's one discussion that I talk a lot about. That's one discussion I talk a lot about with people, in that, I mean, to me, it's kind of scary, but it can be the greatest invention, or it can lead to our demise. I'll leave it.
Yeah, and that's ultimately, we do have the power to decide as a society, but we're so quickly to embrace these new technologies that seemingly make things easier. We don't realize how quickly it's changing our behavior, and how quickly society has changed because of it. Yeah. But this is a subject that's so broad. I'm sure
that's a totally different episode.
We can spend months totally on this and not even scratch the surface. So I want to get to your books. Yes. So you have one book already published, and that is, I have to read it because the title is a little lengthy. So excuse me, I wasn't able to memorize it. I don't want to mess it up. Critical Success Factors in Enterprise Resource Planning Implementation in U.S. Manufacturing.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Now say it 2 times faster.
Exactly. Exactly. And that was your dissertation for your PhD.
Right. That was a dissertation for my PhD. I tried to move it into a book and we pretty much ripped it out. We pretty much ripped out the dissertation and tried to, change the tone for so individuals could understand it, so that was a project in itself.
Yes.
But I tell people with PhDs, I say, don't spend, 2-3 years writing a PhD for it to sit on the shelf. I say, go start that dissertation with it in your mind to put it into a book.
Mm-hmm. Very clever, especially with how easy self-publishing is these days.
Absolutely.
There's no
Absolutely.
reason not to have it, because I know there's been like jokes on TV shows. I don't remember what show I'm talking about, but oh yeah, I think it was from Friends. They found like Ross's dissertation in the like university library, and only one person had ever checked it out.
Right.
And it was him.
It was him. Yeah.
So
That's the
instead
thing.
of that, it's like, yeah, you could actually put your dissertation on Amazon and
Yeah.
it can exist in the world.
Yeah, it can exist in the world, and even my peers within higher education are self-publishing
Mm-hmm.
because these publishers are getting like 70% of the profits. You're getting peanuts, and you're spending years writing this book. There's no,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll keep those thoughts to myself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, okay. So we can find this book on Amazon.
Correct.
You have a website for your scholarship foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anywhere else people can find you if they're looking
Uh,
for you?
yeah, the best place to find me is going to be on LinkedIn.
Right.
And I frequent Clubhouse often. speaking
Okay. Good
speaking
to
in
know.
rooms in higher education, supply chain management, digital fashion, of all things. I mean, look at his face. Well, you can find, so if you're listening to this, you can see this beautiful face on LinkedIn. But that was a joke. But anyway.
Excellent. No, that's great. So we'll have all the links below so everybody in the interweb can find you. I want to thank you so much for taking the time, Justin, to chat with me today. It's definitely been an education, because this is an area of expertise I know absolutely nothing about. So thank
That's
you
what
for
it's all
sharing.
about. Sharing knowledge and changing the world.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you all in the interweb. I'd like to challenge you to do something you never thought you would do. Let us know what it is in the comments. You never know, it might change the trajectory of your entire life. Thanks so much for tuning in. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the content. Have a
Thank you.
beautiful day.